it's interesting to see Ethan's or Arthur's Arthur's belief in that, and also seeing that's actually happening in the world today.
Greetings, travelers.
Greetings, travelers, and welcome to Travelers into the Spoilerverse. We're going to be discussing spoilers from Moon Knight Episode 2, now streaming on Disney Plus. And man, this, it's kind of funny. I was tired watching this episode, but I pushed through because it was just so good. But there is quite a bit to unravel. I don't think we're probably not going to be able to get to every single little aspect. Oh. But man, just as we kind of discussed in our initial reaction, just the idea of, I think the thing that stood out to me the most, that I enjoyed the most about this episode was just a duality of Stephen Grant, Mark Spector, and learning about Mark Spector and learning who Layla is. Layla, now we can say that Layla, Mark Spector's wife, right? That was interesting because I had no idea who she was. Even in the trailers and stuff, I'd see they cast this female role. I had no idea. I was like, oh, great. So that was kind of an unexpected surprise for me. And so we learned more about her character and how she's kind of playing into the fold and how she interacts with Steven, thinking that he's Mark Spector and he's just just out of his mind. Hey, Mark, snap out of it. Come on. What's with the silly accent? What's with all this? That's just phenomenal acting on, Oscar Isaac's part, because he nails it. But Tucker, what did you think, man? Like what's something that stood out to you?
Well, Layla's definitely been trained by Indiana Jones because she was knocking out them bad guys.
Yeah.
And
that's cool.
Finding Nemo made his second appearance again in the MCU with his healed fin. But yeah, Oscar Isaac's a wonderful, wonderful actor, just being able to portray Stephen and Mark at the same time. But we feel even more for Stephen because he's already dealing with stuff going on in his mind, and he needs help, and he's gone back and talked to Mr. Gold Statue again, which this time he moved and looked at him, and it didn't fool me this time.
Yeah.
But he's talking to the fact that on that note, the fact that he finds comfort in talking to someone that can't talk back, just someone that's there to listen, already kind of sends a signal to that he needs help. And someone once told me in a separate note that we'll go to the doctor to take care of a broken bone or something, but sometimes we overlook taking care of our mind. And so I think, Christian, you and I both believe that it's okay to go talk to somebody. Right. It's okay to go talk to a therapist, and that's seen as a good thing because we're all trying to whether it be have a healthy body or a healthy mind. So,
right.
But in that sense, so you're talking about a character who's in that mind, and he's dealing with this craziness of this ancient mythology stuff coming to life, and he's got this dude talking to him in a mirror, and this crazy ancient dog's chasing him, but it's not being picked up on the
jackal.
Camera.
Yeah, it's a jackal. Like, what are you pointing at? Jackal.
I mean, doesn't that make you even feel more messed up in your head if you're the only one that could see it? But then he goes back to his apartment, he finds the what's the word for it? The gold.
Oh, you're talking about
compass.
The
Scarab, yeah.
Yeah, the scarab, yeah.
But so what did you think of what came next after they start questioning him? What do you think?
Yeah, so it's he's like, look, I'm sorry for vandalizing the toilet. He kept apologizing about vandalizing the toilet, and that was obviously a callback to when he first turns into Moon Knight and starts wailing on the jackal, the jackal that chased him. But so he gets interrogated, but immediately, so there's two individuals that come to his apartment, or his flat as he calls it, and
my flat.
A flat, yeah. It's my mom's flat.
My mom.
And so two individuals approach. They approach
Yep.
Steven at his flat with Layla there. Layla's there with him. And they take him in for interrogation. Well, immediately off the bat, I just knew something was up with these two characters, right?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty. I'm like, oh, it's kind of like a trope, it's a little bit of a trope. But I was like, oh, this is not good. It's not just your typical detectives trying to crack a case. It's and then immediately, right? You when they're in the car, they handcuff them. They handcuff Steven in the back seat. And you see them, one of their sleeves was down, and you see the tattoo of the scales, and immediately, they're working with Big Baddie. So, so I was like, yeah, that was definitely something. I was like, oh no, they're gonna try to get the scarab, and so that was probably, I think that was, from my knowledge or from my understanding, that was. Ethan Hawke was just, his character was just wanting to get the scarab. Kind of like you said it really, before we called it a scarab, it was actually like a compass, like a golden compass.
Yeah, he had
that was
mentioned
interesting.
It,
yeah. So kind of Stephen picked up on that. He's like, when it opened up, and it was floating, and it was kind of directing or pointing to a specific place, I guess. So I think that was just really interesting. One thing that there's a kind of a point I liked. So we learned a lot about Stephen Grant in episode 1, how his life is going. And it's like kind of typical. We talked about this in one of our other episodes, our podcast episodes in season 1, about the underdog, right? So the underdog, we can easily tell he's an underdog story. He's an up and coming.
We know
he's going to be we know he's going to become a hero, and obviously just a great addition to the MCU. But in that, the reason I bring this up is that we learn about he has failed romantic relationships. He's working a dead end job, all these different things. And so when he meets Layla, and Layla she's like, I brought the papers. I need you to sign these papers. Yeah. And so Steven, because Layla thinks that Steven is Mark. So Steven's like, I have no idea what you're talking about, papers. And she's like, yeah, no, the papers that we get you guys sign these. And so he opens it up. He's like, papers, what divorce? What? And so she's like, yeah, we're getting divorced. You wanted a divorce. And of course, it's still Steven, not Mark. And Steven says, well, I would never want to divorce you. he says something like, you're wonderful. I can't remember exactly, but isn't that kind of interesting though? It's like we see at times, I think it's not, we've talked, I've done lessons in my ministry, my own personal ministry, about covetousness and desiring and wanting something that someone else may have that you don't currently have. And it doesn't just have to be material possessions, maybe a certain circumstance or just how life is going. And it kind of shows sometimes covetousness, there's an underlying principle of not appreciating what you already have, being content with what you have. Well, I'm not trying to say that Steven's like this in regard, but it's almost like he says, why would I want to divorce you? Like, why would I want to give you up? And so we kind of learn more about the Mark character having this marriage, and he seems more, he's not as clumsy, he's not goofy, he's a mercenary. We learned that. He's done some shady things. He's, as a mercenary, and we'll kind of get to that, later on. But I think the whole tie-in though is that we see how innocent and pure Stephen Grant is. He's just a guy that's down, quote unquote, down on his luck, and he's just you can tell he'd love to be in a relationship. He'd love to have all that, and we're gonna start seeing. And I agree with you, Tucker. I think Mark's a cool guy. I think he's gonna be really cool to learn about. But Stephen is kind of he's the heart and the soul of the show. In a world of these guys who are just out for their own benefit, like Arthur Harrow or even Mark Spector. I don't know how good of a guy he is. But
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Steven is kind of the glue. He's the relatable, just seems like a good guy.
Yeah.
And so I think that was probably one of the kind of more emotional aspects I enjoyed about this episode. But I mean, what else did you think, Tucker?
It reminds me, we were talking about this the other day. It's kind of like Steven is having a Spider-Man 2 moment where nothing's going his way, just like it was for Peter. But no, it's really great. It's a coming of age. It's a coming of age story where he's, when he turned into Mr. Knight, and Mark's like, what is that? It's like, you said the suit. And so he's like, I look pretty good in this. And he starts getting that confidence. And, sometimes you need someone to help you to grow. Like, man, I need Christian in my life. I mean, see Frank over here is just that's a good name. See Frank's over here.
I don't want serious intellectual Tucker. I want fun Tucker.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dude, which there's a podcast that Christian was on with a guy named Jordan Pugh. You got to go check it out. It's a really great. It was the title called "Do You Want Superman or Do You Want Clark Kent?" And so it's called "When the Scriptures Become Real." So totally go check that out. It's really great. That's what he was kind of playing off the
shameless plug. Yeah.
Oh, it's a confident plug. It's
the Bible verse. Ooh, I'm teasing something I shouldn't be, but
spoiled it.
I'm like Tom Holland, bro. Nuts. But no, that's an excellent point. Spider-Man 2. I mean, yeah, absolutely. It's like just the pinnacle, right? It's the pinnacle of relatability. And even though I may not relate to Stephen Grant on every single thing, I think we all find ourselves as, just life situations sometimes. Yeah. Life itself can get you down. And there's certain situations, whatever it is. And so I think that was great. And then I know right off the bat, before I forget, Khonshu, we got to see Khonshu, the Egyptian lowercase g god.
Ooh, yeah.
In action a lot more.
Yeah.
And that was interesting. And
yeah, he's kind of a creepy thing. I'd totally be freaked out if he was chasing.
I know. Yeah. I mean, just the visual of him and everything. And even how he's kind of funny when he talks too. He's like he's an Egyptian lowercase g god. Yeah. But he's kind of funny. So but we start to see more of the motif kind of unravel. And I think that's going to be pivotal from this point on. And then obviously where Steven, I should say Mark, because towards the latter of the episode, it's inevitable that Steven's got to give full control to Mark so they can survive. Yeah. So that way they can get out of the situation. And Mr. Knight with the suit, that's going to be definitely a lot of cosplay at Comic-Con. That's going to be all over the place. Then when Mark actually takes over, I love, by the way, I was watching just the episode and I loved, like, it was just him running on the rooftops and jumping. Yeah. For me, I know some people say, well, you can tell it's CGI. I'm like, well, yeah, but I still loved it. I was like, man, I really felt like I was watching a comic book. Yeah. Or, like come to life. So cool. And that's what Marvel does so well, is like you just, in DC at times too, so you just feel a comic book come to life. And that was just so cool. And seeing them jump, like the aerial shot that Disney Plus has been plastering everywhere. Moon Knight, he's jumping across the moon. I was like, the imagery was great. I think the moons
he pulls from his chest. He's like, whoosh.
Yeah, dude. He just like, and then it comes back to him. It's like,
dude, it's a nice boomerang. There's so much I feel like we have to discuss, especially, and we tease this in the like spoiler free, but just even with Ethan Hawke's character, just with the idea of judgment and what that means about, predetermining people to judgment. And, there's a lot of theological debate out there and discussion. And, we can talk about that in a future video, but what that means with what's his name? What's Ethan Hawke's character's name?
Arthur Harrow.
With Arthur's belief of kind of choosing people, even when they're babies, to be judged and already pick their judgment. There's some scary doctrine out there in terms of the Bible that people do believe, and maybe they don't realize that they believe or follow. I'd actually believed a little of that, but and that's another story, but I don't know, I no longer believe that. So it's interesting to see Arthur's belief in that, and also seeing that's actually happening in the world today, and people are okay with it. And so it's a false doctrine out there. It's a false belief, but so that was just interesting. It's very deep, a very deep theological discussion, just like there's a lot of ancient mythology going on here that I have no idea about. So I'm just like anyone else out there wondering what is happening with these lowercase g gods, and I'm excited to see this keep unfolding. But that's kind of all I've got. There's definitely going to be some cosplay out there.
Yeah, dude, for real. But I agree with you 100%, because part of our mission statement, not really part, really our mission statement is like, we talk superheroes, we talk all things Marvel, all things DC. Well, to an extent, cutting the appropriate things, right? We want to make sure we cater to the kids, in that regard. But all jokes aside, we do want to pull and derive biblical aspect to it. And there's a lot of like theological perspective. There's a lot of things that are implied. And Tucker makes excellent points, because what we're seeing is what people are believing. Like what we're seeing in media, and people can have their opinions on representation. We're not talking about certain types of representation. We're talking about just in general. We're seeing mental illness kind of be represented in the MCU now, like mental illness and identity crisis. Who do you think you are, and that kind of thing. Who you really are, and we're starting to see that like these scary doctrines, or like this as a fancy word for teachings, right? That are out there in the world. Like, you may be thinking, what? Like, someone's condemning babies, saying babies? Wait, that's actually being taught today? Yeah, it is. And so we'll definitely have to dive more into that theological aspect. And we'd love to hear from you guys. Because I know that with this, we don't want to just talk solely about one aspect. We want to bring in the multiverse. We want to correlate so many things together. And so that's the beauty of it. I think it'd be excellent discussion. So you guys will just have to let us know, or you have any questions upon certain things, or maybe you want to go over certain topics. I know a couple of people mentioned certain ideas that we can explore, and so Tucker, you're right, man. I can't wait. Tucker's going to be giving y'all like the rundown. He's going to be explaining things in detail. He's going to be defining terms. He's going to be educating y'all. So you better get your notepads out. You better be,
Tucker variant 3 or something.
It's going to be Professor Tuck. Yeah.
Professor
wear a bow tie and like a sweater vest and all that good stuff. But no, that's great. But no, man, that's really about all I can think of for now. I mean, obviously, throughout the next week, there's going to be memes. There's going to be spoilers without context. There's going to be all these different things floating around the internet. So y'all need to go watch it, right? Yep. If you did not, do yourself a favor and watch the episode and skip straight to the spoiler discussion. Like those people who watch the post-credit scenes on YouTube. I'm looking at somebody for specific movies that have come out. But
I'm sorry, I had to.
We're partially kidding. Yeah. No, we're totally kidding. But it's been great, y'all.
No, we're not.
I think that's about all I've got for now. I think Tucker, you said you're tapped out. It's 4:15 a.m. Christian, and I know it's 4:15 a.m. Tucker. Yep. And we're ready to go to bed. I got a full day of work tomorrow, or I guess today. So we both do. So we'll appreciate you all tuning in, checking us out, and make sure you guys check out our other content. Tucker, where can they find us? Which universes are they going to need to travel to?
All over. We got, your Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And if you'd like to purchase a travel shirt, we have different traveler shirts.
Yeah.
You can find on our link in our bio. And we have shirts that are based on Spider-Man or Batman or being a traveler in the multiverse. And we're going to have more and more come.
We're going to have more Tucker shirts. Yeah.
Tucker shirts. That'd be scary. You just give them away for free. But we want to use this as a platform of superhero faith-based products. So we'll have t-shirts on there and more things to come. But until next time, Christian, should we say the 2 words?
Now, which 2 words are we talking about this time?
We're going to use the first episode again.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll do that. Later, Gators.
Later, Gators.
I love that.
That's good.
Welcome back to your universe. Thank you for tuning into today's special episode. Until next time, travelers,